Planet Dolan.
From driving away from the apocalypse to the whereabouts of a lost cheat sheet, the Planet Dolan crew reenacts some of the best true stories from our subreddit about the dumbest questions students have asked teachers. My name's Hellbent, and I've been here for 5 years! This story was submitted by MEScout. Just before taking a quiz in class one day, Derek overheard one of his classmates ask the teacher if he could sharpen his pencil. What made the question so dumb is that his classmate was using a mechanical pencil. When the teacher told him no, the student asked the teacher if he could use the bathroom, and she let him go. Half an hour later, Derek's classmate walked back in, trying to sharpen the mechanical pencil with a pair of safety scissors. The teacher later found out that instead of going to the bathroom, the student snuck into the teacher's lounge and stole the scissors. Stupid little jerk. This story was submitted by Fredorka7788. When James Shark was in the 4th grade, his teacher taught a lesson about Blackbeard in class one day. During the lesson, James Shark asked,
"You mean that Blackbeard was a real pirate?"
The teacher said he was, to which James Shark added,
Did he have a piece of wood for a leg?"
The teacher answered, "A peg leg? No, I don't believe he did. He didn't get his leg chopped off, so he didn't need a peg leg." James Shark thought real hard for a moment before asking,
"If a pirate gets his leg chopped off, he gets a peg leg. Does that mean if he gets his head chopped off, he gets a peg head?"
To this day, he can't believe he asked such a dumb question. I can believe it though. This story was submitted by Atomic Squirrel 1. Pecan was in her 2nd semester of nursing school. During one of her classes, one of her classmates asked the teacher, "So, if you have a patient in the hospital who's going into cardiac arrest, do you just call 911? Pecan, the teacher, and the rest of the class couldn't control their laughter. It's one of the dumbest things Pecan has ever heard. This story was submitted by Anansithecat. Back when he was in pre-med, Sid had a lab partner in his chemistry class. His partner asked him how they were supposed to put a glass beaker on a scale. Thinking his partner was merely asking how to use it, Sid showed him. But no, his partner simply didn't know how he was supposed to take a beaker from the counter and put it on a scale. Whenever he thinks back on it, Sid can't believe that his partner, who was in pre-med, couldn't figure out how to do such an easy task. This story was submitted by CrazyCanTalkToCrazy. One day, Lost Fox was sitting in his science class taking notes while the teacher lectured. During her lecture, the teacher asked the class about a hypothetical extinction-level asteroid hitting Earth. One of Lost Fox's classmates, who was well known for not being the brightest, rose her hand. When the teacher called on her, she asked, "Why couldn't we just drive away?" The girl wasn't joking or being sarcastic. The teacher was so dumbfounded by the question that she couldn't formulate a response. This story was submitted by Lost Firefighter 171. Zaragamba and his 11th grade English class were sitting around as students do. They were in the middle of taking a test when a girl suddenly stood up from her desk and turned out her pockets. Then she sat back down, puzzled. The girl rose her hand, and when the teacher walked over to her, she loudly asked, "Have you seen my cheat sheet?" What Zaragamba thought was so dumb about it was that their test was open book and only covered one chapter. He had never seen a classmate sent to the office so quickly. Later on, the girl's cheat sheet was found in the hall. Everyone knew it was hers because it had her name on it. This story was submitted by Archgal. In Melissa's high school biology class, her teacher was going over genes and phenotypes, explaining how eye color and hair color were determined. One of the students rose his hand and asked how many times genes change since birth. The teacher wasn't sure what he meant by that, so the student clarified by saying, "When you dye your hair, it changes your genetics. Obviously. So when people dye their hair a certain amount of times, will their genetics also change that same number of times? Their teacher just had to step outside of the room for a few minutes. She even quit and moved to a different school later that year. Genes change since birth. Who wrote that? They have no idea how hard these kind of tongue twisters are, do they? It's just a joke to them, isn't it? Look at me, I write funkily. I don't type in a way that you speak because I'm a fucking geek. This story was submitted by Gotham Joker. During science class in the 10th grade, Nixiom was listening to his teacher talk about the bending of light waves. She said,
All stars, like the sun, don't actually twinkle. We just feel they do.
One of the students rose his hand and asked the teacher if she was sure about that.
Yes, they don't twinkle,
she answered. The student said, No, not that. Are you sure sun's a star? Aren't stars supposed to be pointed? Nixiom and everyone were speechless. It seemed like the world had come to a halt. Nobody was laughing. Instead, they all just gazed at him in wonder. This story was submitted by Hyacinthus. Soup's 8th grade class were doing some silent reading when one of the students raised their hand. When the teacher called on the student, he loudly asked, Is the President of the United States also the President of Ohio? Like, do they have the same president we do? The teacher, along with Soup and the other students, just looked at him. She was proud of her students for not laughing at the kid after he asked the question, although many of them, including Soup, were giving the kid weird looks. Soup looks at everybody weird. Her face is all goofed up. This story was submitted by literarycephalopod. During his sophomore year of high school, Wolfgang was in class when he heard one of the dumbest questions ever. A girl in the class asked the teacher, Do you have to take books back to the library? Wolfgang and everyone else erupted in laughter, including the teacher. After seeing the confused look on the girl's face, the teacher realized that she wasn't joking. She wondered what the girl thought happened to library books once they'd been read. That's the end of the countdown. Thanks for watching. See you again soon. Goodbye.